The Lakers live by the buzzer beater and they die by the buzzer beater. We're talking peaks and valleys today. Which teams are peaking at the right time? Which struggling teams are actually sleeping playoff giants? And the Pacers, they do something last night that no other team has done this century. That's today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. And with me are two of Locked On's premier national NBA experts. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, he's our Prince of Petty. It's Haize. Haize, plenty to talk about on Locked On Bulls. What was your reaction when Josh Giddey pulled up from half court with the game winner?
Utter shock, surprise, celebration, and joy all at once. I went through a gamut of emotions there.
How about you, Matt, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior writer for the Action Network? He's our man of 1,000 podcasts. Matt Moore, what was your reaction?
My actual reaction was, my favorite part of that was Stacey King afterwards screaming, "Get your tickets now!" Like doing the hard work of selling for the team to make sure people get in the building. Tom Ziller this morning on a Substack called this the most unhinged final 30 seconds in all of basketball history. And I think he might have been right. Completely unhinged basketball last night in Chicago.
Speaking of selling, Mark Cuban, the former owner of the Dallas Mavericks, revealed that he was stunned to find out that he wouldn't be running Mavs basketball operations after he sold the team, even though he didn't or could not get that in writing. Are you stunned that he was stunned?
No, I think he genuinely thought that there would be some sort of consideration for him as the longstanding, person of the franchise. And it's not like he just gave up everything. He wasn't walking away. So everyone's yeah, of course not, man. And I'm I don't know. Yes, maybe you should expect people to screw you in life, but I think it's okay to be a little upset when they do it
He
anyway.
was a shark, and he got into bed with casino owners. So it's the shark getting into bed with the bigger sharks, and he got eaten. Okay, let's head back to one of the craziest, best finishes we've seen all season. Josh Giddey dropping the 47-foot game winner as time expired to beat the Lakers 119-117, part of a 25-point triple-double for Giddey. Haize, the Bulls have now won 9 out of their last 11. What's gotten into this team? And should Bulls fans be concerned that this is all a March mirage, a mirage, if you will, and the Bulls are still spinning their wheels in the muck of mediocrity?
As far as it being a mirage, I think that there's having some trepidation about it makes sense. Because, where this is happening in the season. But then when you dig into the numbers and how they're doing this is largely predicated by Josh Giddey and Coby White attacking more often. The Bulls have gone from being dead last in the NBA in free throw rate to, I think, around 22nd, 23rd right now. While that may not seem like a large leap, it's a pretty big one. The Bulls are attacking the paint more often, right? They were a team that was towards the bottom half of the league as far as points in the paint scored in the first half of the season. They're now scoring more points in the paint because Josh Giddey and Coby have gone to attack mode. I said a lot early in the season that Coby White they tried to turn Coby into a jump shooter to fit more with Josh Giddey. Now you're seeing a better balance between those guys of when they're on ball, off ball, in that attack mode, both of them creating. In the fourth quarter yesterday, Coby White was responsible for either scoring or assisting on 27 of 44 points, and Josh Giddey a triple-double. As long as they find that balance between those two guys in the backcourt and that continues, I'm not saying that the pace they're on now is where they'll start off next season, but they're definitely in a much better place than what I think a lot of us thought coming into the season.
I feel like there's only two doors here and they're both trapped and I don't like it. Like, okay, I walk through one door if it's like, I believe in this, because you know what? Sometimes runs come out of nowhere that you do not expect. Like, honestly, the Derrick Rose era did not necessarily happen the way that everyone thought it would. It was really surprising. Like Joakim Noah becoming what he did. Like that run was not necessarily like something you could have forecasted. It just kind of happened and everyone kind of bought in. Like Taj Gibson becoming like a huge role player for that team. Sometimes these things happen, so I can walk through that door and believe, but then it's like, this is March NBA. There's a writer I've read for a long time over at Bloggable. He's got an entire article that says Bulls' recent results are meaningless. The performance is only slightly less so. And he's not the only Bulls fan I know that echoes that sentiment, because it's hard for them to believe because the process has been so bad. But on the other hand, if you go down this like, well, it's just March, it's meaningless, whatever, you miss out on the fun and like how good this is. And like, what if this does work out? Like, I don't know where this goes for Chicago. I know that right now it's worth enjoying because these little moments as a sports fan are going to get you through the times when your team is not a legit contender. And I think that there's no other kind of alternative other than to be like, did they do this the right way? No. Is this going to be sustainable? Probably not. How should you react? Enjoy it. It's too fun not to.
As a long-suffering Hornets fan, I have to advocate for snorting all of this fun, as much of it as you can, as much as a 70s NBA player trying to guard Giannis Antetokounmpo in the Converses. That's in the Chuck Taylors. That's how much you should snort all of this Chicago Bulls fun. What was not fun was the Los Angeles Lakers side of this. Let's go to Locked On Lakers, who were witnesses to some very uncharacteristic mistakes from LeBron James late.
LeBron, terrible rotation, leaves Pat Williams wide open for the three. And then, so LeBron goes, takes the ball out. You're still up by 2 at this point. Like, it is not an emergency. It's a bad play, but it's not an emergency. Get the ball in, go hit a free throw, go hit your free throws, and the game is over. LeBron, under the basket, throws a terrible, soft, telegraphed pass, trying to get the ball to Reeves because he's the best free throw shooter. It was an inexplicably bad pair of mental errors from a guy who is arguably the smartest basketball player ever.
You said it was the worst 5 to 6 seconds of LeBron's career. I would be willing to stretch it to 10 seconds because one could argue that the half-court buzzer beater by Josh Giddey, Ron maybe could have put a little more heat on the contest of that shot.
I would say this, the Kamenetsky brothers better be careful or LeBron's going to go back on Pat McAfee's show with a new media target. Matt, was that the worst 10 seconds of LeBron's career? And if it was, does it mean anything? And I only ask that because we've seen LA play a lot of close games lately. LeBron's defense and his plus minus, that's been a recurring topic of discussion on this show. What should we take away from what we saw last night?
So the inbound pass, I think, is mental fatigue, and it might just be a simple matter of when the body doesn't do things as easily, the mind, it takes a toll on the mind. And I think that might be something that's starting to happen here a little bit with LeBron. Like, it's true, you would never see that mistake for him in the past. He just wouldn't make it. The leaving Williams, that's a thing that he started doing in Cleveland. And I got to tell you guys, I have never been able to understand what this is. He's got the assignment on the corner and he just wants to help out. It's like LeBron is literally like, oh, what's he going to do? Hit a corner three, the best 3-point shot in basketball? He does it all the time. He's done it in Cleveland and LA over multiple seasons. I will never understand that decision making that he gets to in there. It's like he's honestly like, I don't want to guard the guy in the corner. I want to do something fun. Like, stay on the guy in the corner, man. I do think it's a bad look, even if this is a forced narrative, Haize. It's a bad look that he gets into this whole nonsense with SAS. Then he goes on McAfee with a flamethrower, and then he has the most brain-dead 10 seconds of his career. It doesn't necessarily have to be related, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I mean, when you pair that in with his performance in the first game against the Bulls, and then this game as well, and the mistakes made down the stretch, like, it doesn't look good at all. Now, I will throw LeBron some bail here. Coming into that play where Patrick Williams was 1 of 3 from 3-point range, he's shooting the worst three-point percentage of his career, even though it's a young career on the season. So maybe there was a thought that they're going to trust P. Will to beat us. So, because I thought that, right? So maybe there's that thinking on it, but so maybe there's that thought process on it. But like, just the whole series of events and how that game went, it was just it was a bad last 30 seconds of that game for LeBron all over the place.
It unhinged the last 30 seconds of that game. Unhinged.
It's crazy.
It was interesting, too, because on that Pat McAfee interview, LeBron made a point to talk about how smart of a basketball player he is and has been, and that's certainly been true over the course of his career. But he said it sort of in relation to previous NBA stars that may have relied more on their physical gifts. And so it's just interesting to see all of that happen kind of in concert. Yeah, go ahead.
We mentioned the on-offs, the on-court stuff. So I just wanted to kind of reassert that. So on the season, the Lakers are a -2. They've lost their minutes with LeBron on the court this season. That's shocking. And so I was like, all right, well, let's see what happens after the trade. Since the trade, he's -2.7. Hasn't been any better. If we go back to to March 1st, this month, it's a -7. Like, there's just like a lot of concerning numbers here that for as good as LeBron was playing there for a while, there's there's a lot of signs that there's something up that is a bit concerning for them, both short and long term with LeBron. These numbers are usually harbingers of problems later.
So the Lakers struggling right now. They're in a little bit of a valley. Some teams are peaking at the right time. That's what I want to talk about next on Locked On NBA. Peaks and valleys. Which teams right now are peaking at the right time and can carry that over into the postseason? Which teams right now in the valley can all of a sudden become a playoff giants? We'll talk about that next on Locked On NBA. This episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings time. It snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep still, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, and it has given us some Sweet 16 gems that you had to stay up late for, if you're squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just keeping up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Don't let the long days wear you out. 5 Hour Energy helps you stay sharp, stay focused, whether you're catching every moment of the tournament, getting outside for a hike, tackling a packed schedule. It's small, it's convenient, it's ready whenever you are. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors, including watermelon, blue raspberry, always pick blue, and peach mango. Build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. The Bulls, not the only team on fire in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics are going to put their 7-game winning streak on the line against the San Antonio Spurs on Saturday. Here's Locked On Celtics host John Corrales to tell us what's behind this new gear that the Celtics have found and the X factor that could keep the good times rolling.
Doing everything better. Their offensive rebounds is in March is their highest monthly average. The 11.1 turnovers per game, the lowest monthly average this year. They're defending without fouling. This is a big one. 15.5 fouls per game in March, fewest per month, fewest they've averaged in a month this year. The defense is allowing their fewest field goal attempts per game in March. So everything is coming together for the Celtics this month. The Celtics can beat everybody without Porzingis. It's just harder, right? Yeah. If Porzingis is healthy, that is the big takeaway against the Suns in this whole road trip. If Porzingis is healthy and there and ready, then the entire dynamic of the playoffs changes.
Okay, I know Matt is champing at the bit. I don't know if it's chomping at the bit or champing at the bit, but he's doing something with the bit on Boston. So, Matt, feel free to give me your takes on Boston. But first, Haize, which team peaking right now will carry that momentum into the playoffs?
I mean, common thought, you want to think Boston because they've done it before, right? So that's kind of where my brain goes to first. I love the way that Boston's playing. I love that John Corrales is going to get more opportunities to say that it's the best Boston Celtics win of the season because, that's what he loves to do. So I'm going to go with Boston, but let's be clear here. I don't want to belabor. It's Boston. So there you go. Go ahead, Matt.
I just, you know what? Heart of a champion. Heart of a champion. For them to go and win 7 in a row versus the Miami Heat during a 9-game losing streak, the Brooklyn Nets twice, the Utah Jazz, the Portland Trailblazers, the Sacramento Kings, and the Suns, who everyone says have given up on the season. Crown them right now, guys. Crown them right now. Look, if the Celtics go on a 4-game losing streak, what's John going to say? Oh, you know what? They're just gearing down for the playoffs. So if they win, they're ramping up, and if they lose, they're coasting. The overall tapestry for the Celtics this season is that they're elite. They can win the title. They should be the favorites. Like that, I don't disagree with any of that. But the narratives about like their problems being because of coasting and that they can fix this because they have a good stretch versus bad squads, get out of here. The Celtics are still beatable, much the same way they were last year. If the best player on every team they face in the Eastern Conference playoffs doesn't get hurt. You want the team that I think actually is turning that way? I can't believe this. I was looking at the numbers yesterday. We talked about them a little bit yesterday, Doug. It's the Clippers.
Yes.
The jump has been it's strong. Like I was ready to be like, well, I mean, we'll see. And then I started like diving in. And I was like, man, their profile when they are fully healthy and engaged actually does look like an elite squad all around. They look like they have the profile of the team. Like they are definitely peaking at the right time. I don't believe in peaking at the right time, but if I did, I would be buying in on the Clippers pretty heavily. And I think that there's a very good chance the Clippers, at this point, I think it's Wolves 6, Clippers 7, Warriors 8. But I would not be surprised if it's Clippers 6, Wolves 7, Warriors 8.
Okay, Matt doesn't believe in peaking at the right time. Let me see if he believes in a team that is quiet going into the playoffs, suddenly turning things around. Which team in the Valley right now could flip it around and become a playoff giant? How about the Memphis Grizzlies, who have been sputtering without Ja Morant in the lineup? They stayed close with the OKC Thunder before OKC put the hammer down in a 34-15 fourth quarter to get the win last night. Let's go out to Locked On Grizzlies, where the Blues, unfortunately, aren't reserved just for Bill Street.
What do you make of the Grizzlies after this loss? You know, is it an opportunity for another moral victory? Because they did compete admirably the first 3 quarters. No, it's not an opportunity for a moral victory. And here's why. Because you could have earned that if you had won other games prior to that one. At some point, you have to be able to protect the basketball. At some point, you have to be able to hold on to possessions, generate extra ones, and score buckets to keep up with an offensive machine the likes of Oklahoma City. The Thunder are really good defensively, one of the best in the NBA. That's why they have the record that they do. The Memphis Grizzlies have been careless at the ball against teams that aren't the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that is why I say no moral victories. You should have beaten Portland. You should have beaten Sacramento.
And now the Grizzlies and the Lakers, they're going to play a game with all kinds of postseason implications on Saturday night in Memphis. Make sure you check out Locked On NBA Game Night for the recap on that one. So Joe, not high on Memphis's chances to pull out of their slump. Which team, Matt, currently struggling to get through March, will suddenly remember who they are in late April into May?
I'm buying Grizzlies stock. I think Joe's too hard on him. Joe's been too hard on him for a while, and I get it. It's been a frustrating season for them. I'm also kind of like, is this more frustrating than last season when they were an abject disaster because of the injuries? I think Memphis, I actually liked a lot of what I saw from Memphis last night. They generated great shots. They just missed them. They generated corner 3 after corner 3 after corner 3, and they couldn't get them to go down. That's been a recurring theme with Thunder games, so maybe it's something that OKC's doing, but I don't think so. I think it's mostly shooting variance. I think there's a good opportunity here for Memphis to get it together. I like Memphis's chances in the playoffs long term. I actually like most of the teams that are slumping right now. Like there's this idea of like, well, the Wolves are playing badly right now. I don't care. I care about how you play when it gets to be playoff time. I do not care about whether you're great right now or bad right now or great in April or bad in April. We all know who these teams are. I think Memphis is still alive, Haize. I'm actually encouraged by last night's performance.
Memphis is definitely the way that Memphis is talked about. I guess I understand it. I just don't agree. Right? Understand and agreeing to two different things. Like Memphis, they can be still so good. And I get that Ja this year hasn't necessarily been the Ja Morant that we're used to and accustomed to seeing, but count out the Memphis Grizzlies if you want to. I do think they are definitely a team that can surprise a team in the first round. And I hope that they do, because this is a team that's so much better when they're together. They've built organically the right way for the most part. And if they're able to surprise some teams and get back on the right track, I think more people will be in on the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know if I'm going to pick them to go to a WCF or anything like that, but I will say this. If you're counting out the Memphis Grizzlies, be prepared to count your days, because I definitely think that they can have a much better postseason than what most people are expecting.
How about the New York Knicks? They are sort of limping into the playoffs. They've been without Jalen Brunson. They'll get him back eventually, 5-5 over their last 10. Are we counting out the Knicks, or do they have a chance once they get Brunson back to start to make noise again?
I wrote them out. I wrote them off months ago. Like, they're done. Like, it's okay. So they went from they were, I believe, 18th in defense to like 8th without Brunson. But Jalen's going to come back. This is the entire thing. The argument is that Mitchell Robinson can make the Cat Jalen Brunson combo work, that you're able to change the matchups and dynamics. I just don't believe it. I don't think the defense is good enough. I don't think they can hang with either of the top two teams in the East. I think the Knicks are good, but not nearly good enough to get out of the Eastern Conference.
I have no faith in the New York Knicks at all. It sucks because I love Tom Thibodeau. I love Jalen Brunson. This season has just felt like a season where it's just, and sometimes those are the teams that do surprise you. Maybe they're turning on in the playoffs in the right time, and then I'll be sitting here with egg on my face. But right now, the New York Knicks are a team that, depending on how the seeding works, could be upset in the first round of the playoffs.
It's crazy because it's like, look, the Knicks are 45-27. This is one of the best Knicks teams that we've seen. The problem, I think, Doug, is just like the top of the East is so good. Like, that's one of the things I really think here is like that those two teams are so far ahead of everybody else. You could have a great season and not have any real chance of coming out of the East because of how good Cleveland and Boston are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if the conversation changes if Cleveland or if Boston slips on a banana peel in the first couple of rounds and the Knicks don't. Then we will definitely revisit this conversation. Okay, coming up on Locked On NBA, we're not done with the insanity of March NBA basketball. We talk about the Pacers, who did something that no other team has done in a century, and we will wrap the week up with our favorite things. That's all ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. March Madness is in full effect. FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Got your eye on a big underdog? FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on, and best of all, the FanDuel app is simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around. So don't wait. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. This might be our last opportunity to get to talk about crazy March NBA basketball. Matt, just to let you know, while you were gone on Friday, we actually renamed our Marchometer, our measurement of March NBA insanity. We renamed it to the Mamuometer in honor of Sandro Mamukelashvili, who scored 36 points in under 20 minutes. So it's our Mamuometer right now. The Pacers had an arguably equally incredible feat last night. They scored 162 points in regulation on the Washington Wizards. It was the highest offensive rating in a game in this century. Of the top 5 offensive ratings in a game since 2000, 4 of them have occurred in March and April. So there's some evidence to Matt's theory that this is an insane time in the NBA. Matt, what is your Mamuometer reading for this game? 1 to 10, Tibbs to Seuss.
I'm going to give it 7, maybe. I'm going to give it a 7 on the fake scale. I think the Wizards have actually played a lot better. So I think there's a real opportunity there for us to be able to talk about like some level of this was just like an outlier performance. The Pacers are a great offense, but for them to do this, I think is absolutely wild. Yeah, Taylor Jenkins just got fired.
Oh, wow. Breaking news.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that just happened. Taylor Jenkins the Memphis Grizzlies have parted ways with head coach Taylor Jenkins via Shams Charania.
And we just got done talking about the Grizzlies and their struggles this year, but it can't just be about that, right? I mean, they've certainly had their issues this year, but it certainly couldn't be about where they are in the standings. What do you think, Matt?
Okay, here's my read on this, based on what I was talking to people in the league. There was a sense that that they brought in a whole slew of assistants this summer, and these were not necessarily Taylor's guys. These were guys chosen by the front office. And there was at least 2 different league people did indicate to me, they're like, we don't know how much Taylor is actually involved with like the strategy side of this. And so if there's not that kind of feeling, and if the motivation side has been the problem, you have this big slide defensively, which was their strength. And then you have last night with them being unable to hold the able to hang in the game late into that game. To me, this is more about, I think this has been coming for a while. There's been a lot of frustration with Memphis fans over Jenkins' rotations decisions. I think it's a mistake. I'll just go ahead and go on record right now. This is a mistake and will not go well. Taylor Jenkins is a great head coach. I'm not surprised by it, Haize, even though I just said, like, I think that the Memphis Grizzlies could get it together. Now I'll say I don't think so, because you just told the entire team I don't believe in what this team can accomplish, so we have to pivot immediately with a new head coach. I'm not a fan of this move at all.
Yeah, that changes a lot. Changing your head coach at this point in time, which you still do have a good record. I mean, yeah, I have to change a lot of what I said. I don't know if this team is now going to be that team that can catch win and get going with that type of change. Maybe they can. Sometimes changing the head coach brings in a new energy, but that's a big move to do, especially at this point in the season. That's crazy.
Do you feel like this could be a larger signal come this offseason that the Grizzlies start to reconfigure the roster, that they start to look maybe even into a larger rebuild? If this isn't working with Taylor, could it work for someone else? Or do you think the front office may look to pivot?
I mean, I think that the CBA, we're going to say this all the time, the CBA is going to require them to make hard decisions. You can't have 3 stars. You just can't. You can't build a roster well enough. So I would expect changes for Memphis this summer, but I don't think it's like they're going to pivot to a rebuild. They've got Jaren Jackson Jr., who's a 2-way player, defensive player of the year candidate. Really, I think he deserves to be second team All-NBA this season. Desmond Bane had a rough game last night, but overall is still great. He has better seasons ahead of him. They got young talent that's come along really well. Jalen Wells is great. Like, they're still in a position to contend. This, to me, says more about something happened between the front office and Jenkins that caused a huge divide, and they decided to go in a different direction.
I know we're just kind of trying to digest this news because it just broke, but just off the top of your heads, do you think of any candidates right now that would be, you think they go looking in the college ranks? You think there are any NBA coaches right now that you feel like, I'll say, Haize, they need to lock in Billy Donovan ASAP over in Chicago.
Chris Quinn. I think Chris Quinn's going to be one of the guys that's a big name for a lot of the jobs, and I think he can make a lot of sense for that Memphis team. So just off the top of my head, without having time to prepare, I'll go Chris Quinn.
No clue. I have no idea what direction they're going to go, because I'll just say, like, this happens a lot where you have a good coach, everybody's like, yeah, he's good, but this thing and this thing and this thing, and it's like, you better be sure you get a better coach. You better be sure you get a better coach, unless something happened behind the scenes, which I'm not going to rule out because we've got the Udoka story and everything. Unless something like that happened, to me, like, I don't know how you can justify this move. You're not, like, the odds of you finding a better coach than Taylor Jenkins are low.
Well, that's what makes this all insane, right? I mean, they've got a winning record. It's 3 weeks before the playoffs. This seems, it's very unconventional for a coach to get fired in this situation. Maybe there are some clues from Joe Mullinax over at Locked On Grizzlies. Go check him out in a little bit. I'm sure he's going to put up something. That team over there, great team. They're going to put up something on this breaking news over on their YouTube channel and their podcast feed. So we'll have more on this on Monday. Let's shift gears and wrap up the week, as we always do, with our favorite things of the week. Haize, I've got a clue as to what one of your favorite things of the week might be, so we'll start with you.
Definitely the Josh Giddey buzzer, but not even just that. Like that's an easy pick, but seeing Josh Giddey and Coby White play together in the way that I for a part of this season question if they could, the stretch that they've been on since the West Coast trip started, they're 9-2 in their last 11. Like this team is just, it's really kind of woken me up to what the possibilities are. So that's definitely been a favorite thing of the week. And other than that, come on, you guys know I'm petty. LeBron James post on Stephen A. Smith, regardless of what happened on the basketball court, that post of the want with Stephen A. Smith at boxing training, that's hilarious moment this week.
Mine is getting to say on a podcast I get paid for, does Giannis get to do coke? That's my favorite thing of the week.
That's not a bad one either. That really set the week off nicely. My favorite thing of the week, actually, it started earlier last week when Jacob Ingles, son of Joe Ingles, watched an entire NBA game for the first time. And that's something that many of us take for granted. It was actually a milestone for Jacob because Jacob has autism. But Jacob didn't get to see his dad play that night. That changed last Friday when Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch not only played Joe, he started him. Finch said after the game, quote, "Sometimes you have to do the human thing, and you always talk about all these minutes matter. Those minutes matter for another reason," unquote. So good on Chris Finch. Awesome moment. And if you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks so much to Matt and Haize for all the expertise they shared this week. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen today and every day. Enjoy tonight's action. Enjoy this weekend's action. Be kind to each other, and we'll see you right back here next week on Locked On NBA.